Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. I've talked a couple of times on the channel about Dragon's Demand, a new Pathfinder game from Ossian Studios. I'm really excited about that. It'll be the first Pathfinder game in the 2E mechanic system, which I have no experience with whatsoever, so it should be a very new experience. Now, all the reporting I've done thus far on the game has been based on what we received from the Kickstarter page and on their Twitter page. But I actually just found out there's some very interesting details about the game that's available directly on the website. I don't understand why Ossian Studios did this. It seems like you will want to take this information and put it on the Kickstarter page to get more people to sign up as followers, but I'm sure there's a method to the madness. To be clear, this information has been available on the website since the 14th. I just had never seen it. So if you've already seen that information, this video isn't going to tell you anything new. But if you haven't seen it yet, I think it provides some really interesting information about what we can expect from Dragon's Demand. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I will have the trailer and some screenshots playing on the video. A couple of them will be new, but for the most part, you could just listen to this and don't have to feel compelled to actually watch it. So first and foremost, as I already mentioned, Dragon's Demand will be a single-player, turn-based, party-based cRPG experience, and you all already know that is right up my alley. The article does confirm that the game will have voice acting, which I'm never sure about when you see these indie titles. Of course, having voice acting in games is very expensive, so it's good to know that Dragon's Dogma is actually going to have this. According to Ossian Studios, the game has a massive interactive world with hundreds of characters for you to interact with and dozens of quests for you to experience, and many of them will turn out differently based on the player's choices. So it sounds like it's going to deliver a lot of what we love from Pathfinder games. But make no mistake, it is going to be a significantly different experience from what we've gotten from Owlcat. There will be 30 hours of gameplay, which is certainly a nice chunk of time, but nowhere near the 100 hours plus it took to get through Owlcat games. And also, Dragon's Demand will only allow you to go up to level 8, which of course is a far cry from the level 20 experiences that we have received thus far. Again, I'm actually really excited about this. I love having different types of experiences. I don't need everything to be the same. So it really seems like Ossian Studios has taken this Pathfinder license and has the confidence to try to do something completely different with it from what we've experienced before. I'm hoping that it's going to work out. Now, you have 7 different ancestries or races you could play as in the game. And yes, you could create your own character. I think a couple of you asked me about that before. You could be a dwarf, elf, gnome, goblin, halfling, human, or an orc. I really appreciate that we can be goblins. I've never played a game that allowed me to create a character as a goblin before. Unfortunately, at least my first time around, I probably won't do that since we'll have the Fumbus character, who is his iconic Pathfinder character, and I'm really looking forward to what his voice acting is like, what kind of character he is. So I'm absolutely going to have him in my party at first, but maybe on a second run, I can play as a goblin and get a completely different type of experience. Now, speaking of party members, you can have a party of up to 4 characters, so you and 3 other party members, and a dozen companions will be available for you to select. It's going to be really interesting to find out how much diversity there is in the types of party members we can get. I'm also interested in how morality is going to work in Dragon's Demand. Do you have the ability to be chaotic good, lawful, evil, or is it much more streamlined where essentially you have to be the hero? Definitely curious to see what Ossian Studios has done. I know they've done a ton of content for games like Neverwinter Nights and Baldur's Gate, and that they've done a couple of their own games as well, but I have no familiarity with their previous titles, so I really don't know what to expect from Dragon's Demand. Now, there will be 16 classes available: Alchemist, Barbarian, Bard, Champion, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Investigator, Monk, Oracle, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Swashbuckler, Witch, and Wizard. That's absolutely a strong list, and it's going to give us a lot of interesting options to play with. I'm not going to lie to you though. I feel like there are a couple of options that are missing that I really would have loved to have. First and foremost, no paladin. Playing a Pathfinder game and not having Paladin available? That's gonna suck. I know I'm gonna be missing Paladin the entire experience. And then also, I know it's never come in the base Pathfinder games that we played before, so I can't really knock Ossian Studios for having it here. And frankly, I don't even know if this even exists in 2E, but Summoner. I really love playing as a summoning type class, and I keep wanting either Owlcat to add Summoner to Pathfinder or at least see it here. And so it's kind of disappointing that yet again, it feels like at least we won't get a class that's really based around summoning in a way that's viable in the game. Like Pathfinder Wrath of Righteous has a couple of classes you can use for summoning, but what they could do pales in comparison to the other classes you have the availability to use. So a little disappointing, but again, it is a large, well-rounded list, so I can't really complain. Now, the spells will come from 4 different traditions or schools: Arcane, Divine, Occult, and Primal. Again, I've never played 2E before, so I can't really comment on this. Primal school sounds really interesting, but until I have a greater understanding of how this works, all I can do is provide information. If you've played 2E and you have an understanding of what the traditions mean and what we can look forward to by having these spells available, definitely please leave a comment down below. There will be hundreds of different armor and weapons available throughout the game, and the look of your character will change based on what you have equipped. Really happy to hear this. It at least sounds like they're putting a lot of effort and energy into the gear that you're able to equip, which I always appreciate. That's one of the things I loved about the previous Pathfinder games. You had so much different items you could equip that it made a lot of builds very possible. And hopefully we're going to get the same thing here. They're going to provide these 16 classes and a wealth of different ways we can build them and make them interesting in the game. Now, speaking of builds, they did talk a little bit about combat. It's going to use a unique grid system, which will allow for a tabletop feel, but also give you 3-dimensional control. Enemies can swoop down from the sky to attack or levitate above the party and rain fireballs down on you. I really like the concept of this. It kind of reminds me of Solasta. I still remember the first time I saw a giant lizard levitate above my party and start raining havoc down on us. Such a cool experience. And so I like seeing that Ossian Studios is going down the same path. Really interested to find out more about how all that's going to work, especially what is our team's ability to do something very similar. And then finally, they noted that the game will use an interactive map and is going to allow you to travel to locations such as Dragonfen, Verduran Forest, and Belheim. Of course, again, I have no familiarity with 2E, so none of those locations mean anything to me. But for those of you who have actually played with Dragon's Demand or familiar with some of the other 2E games, definitely let us know down in the comments if this should be exciting. And that's it. That's all the information that I have regarding Dragon's Demand. I felt like this stuff was different from what I provided you before, and therefore it was worth making a separate video. Really excited to see the Kickstarter start off. Hopefully all of you have signed up to be notified and are looking forward to supporting. I want as many Pathfinder games as I can get. So this is really cool. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll see you on the next video. Take care.